Okay, welcome everyone to the June 17th SIG Apps meeting. My name is Adnan Abdul Hussain and I'm going to be hosting us today. We also have Matt Farina on the call who's co-hosting. I'll share the agenda here in the chat so we can follow along. And so today we have one announcement, and that is that 1.15, today is a planned release date for 1.15. And if it does get released today, that means that the only supported versions are 1.13 to 1.15. So if you're on less than 1.15, make sure you are able to upgrade to stay within a supported version. Okay, with that, we can move on to the discussion topics here. So the first one here is a stateful volume expansion KEP. If I remember correctly, I think from our side, we're kind of done with this KEP. I think we're just waiting on approval from SIG Storage. Is that correct?
I believe that's the case with this, because the volume upgrades involve SIG storage. Well, we've approved it, and everything's approved except SIG storage needs to weigh in on it still.
Okay. Sounds good. And then there's these issues about stateful sets getting stuck. I think, Topher, that was you.
Yep. Yeah, so there's two different PRs in that attempts to address this. I think really that they're maybe not gaining traction because no one feels comfortable really saying, yes, it is safe to delete a pod statefully, with all of these conditions. So I was just hoping that we could get a couple eyes on them. I just saw that there was a comment made last night that I haven't addressed yet, so I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm definitely open to suggestions on making sure that this is safe. One of the suggestions I saw was using delete preconditions, but I couldn't find docs on how to consume those. So any help is appreciated here for sure.
If you are asking about the delete preconditions, there is the meta object you put to the delete call that lets you set the UID of the pod, so you delete only the one matching that UID.
Okay, so it just helps give a little bit more assurance that what you're deleting is what you think you're deleting.
Yeah, it makes sure you are not deleting by name, but by UID, which means you are deleting what you meant to delete.
Okay.
If it gets recreated, it will make sure you are deleting just the one you thought you are deleting, not a recreated one.
Okay.
It's part of the API.
And then I was also having a hard time actually I have unit tests around my stuff, but I was actually having a problem like creating a functional test that would fail for this. I'm not sure if it's just my limited understanding of the mock, or if it's just I'm not. I need like more of a functional test, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that part because I just came from 2 weeks of PTO today, and I haven't really catch up with those. Sorry about it.
No, totally cool. So yeah, I just know that a couple of us have made a pass at it, and since we had 2 PRs, I was like, let me just bring it up and see what happens.
Yeah, so what was actually the issue with the stateful set update?
So the idea is you do something like you do an invalid image name. That's the pretty standard one on my team. Is you deploy with the wrong image name and then it gets stuck. And if I try to do another deploy with the corrected image name, the stuck pod just never comes up. It never goes down. You have to delete each of the pods in order for it to all respawn.
Does the pod have to be in the middle of the stateful set ordering?
Nope. It can be anywhere in the order.
It can be the first one.
It can be the first or the last, right? I think it's the first one that fails specifically. It's sorry, it is the last one that fails, as in the first one that gets edited, but ordinally the last. Makes sense.
Yeah, my first thought was this is because stateful set roll out in a particular order. So if you don't roll out the last one, you can start deleting the first one, right?
Right. And but this is specifically like I changed the image tag to like B, and then right away it's stuck. Like nothing has happened physically in the cluster other than like a pod was torn down and a new one could not come up. So it's basically just stuck in kind of this pending state. And when you would expect, because it's never come up, it's pending, it's not running yet, this would be a safe pod to delete, in theory. So, you know, you're saying like, hey, a new revision is coming through and, you know, ordinally, this is the correct thing to delete. In theory, because the pod never came up and we can detect that there's a change, I think it's safe to say that we can delete it.
Yeah, like in theory, it's safe to delete it. I'm just
Yeah, I'm talking it through, honestly.
yeah. I just wonder if it's because we start the new rollout because you have to change the image. So we start a new rollout, and my first bet was we start with a different pod, and we can't start deleting that because we are waiting for all the other ones to be available, right?
I think that sounds about right. I'm not sure if it's necessarily acting against the wrong pod. I thought, and this is why I was trying to get a test to work around it, that it was just basically that the pod would not, like when it came through the next time, there was no way for it to do some consolidation logic. But yeah, both of the issues explore it a little bit. Oh, and hey, the other PR actually has an end-to-end test in it that I can suck in. So yay, cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna check those once I'm a bit catch up with all the things that happened after PTR.
Yeah, I'll look for your comments later. No worries.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Cool. Thanks for bringing this up. And I don't know, have you taken this to the mailing list yet? That might be another way to get some more feedback.
I have not. That's a great idea. I'll definitely go after that.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a good next step.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next thing here are controller walkthroughs. So we've seen a few other SIGs do kind of walkthroughs of controllers and then put those videos up on YouTube for people to go and see afterwards. We haven't really done this in SIG Apps yet, and we've talked about it, but we haven't really actually gone around to doing that. So is this something that people would be interested in? Do you think this would be helpful, getting new contributors on board? And is anyone interested in helping out doing this?
Yeah, I think I suggested this earlier as well, and I definitely think this would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we just need to find someone who has knowledge enough to do this.
Yeah, and Ken's offered in the past to do this, and maybe we can try to get him to do that once he's back from paternity leave.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, but it sounds like this is generally useful. Another option is at KubeCon, in the deep dive, we could also do a controller walkthrough there. And that way it'd be recorded as a KubeCon talk and people could find it.
Sure. I think it's more useful to do it in the house meeting, but yeah, I think if we can also try it in the San Diego one and other ones as well.
I expressed interest in that one as well. I can help out with the controller walkthrough. This is Maciej. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks,
That
Maciej.
makes sense. Whether that can be pre-recorded during one of the meetings, during 6 sessions in San Diego. I remember that Paris, during the Meet Our Contributors, is also very happy to have current contributors doing some code overview. I did something for 6 like that a couple weeks back. So there are multiple options, and just a matter of getting together and writing it down and publishing.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I guess what's the best next step here, Matt? Do we just wait until Ken gets back and try to figure something out?
That's probably a good idea. We could wait till Ken comes back, and maybe Ken and Janet, who at the last minute couldn't be here today, and maybe Maciej, we can figure out if there's one person or a collection of people who wanted to do a walkthrough and would be in San Diego. We could do something there.
Sounds good to me. Okay, the next topic here is, so there's been talk about starting a new SIG usability SIG, and it kind of started off as a discussion about kind of merging the different efforts around UX into one place, but it's kind of transformed into things like accessibility as well as user experience, and so there's this idea of starting a SIG usability SIG. It looks like there's already a pull request for this.
Yeah. So the folks who started this appear to be interested in user experience, and then, as you can imagine, accessibility and other things started to come up in the conversation, and so now they're looking at just how do we improve all of that. And so it started off kind of, does it live as a sub-project under SIG PM? Should it be a working group that's cross things? And I think it was Brendan Burns has been pushing for it to be a kind of a cross-functional SIG. And so now there's a charter up, there's a mailing list, and there's folks who are interested in that. Of course, that impacts SIG Apps somewhat, since we interact with app workloads. But a lot of what they're talking about right now is maybe more persona-based, accessibility, which is, and some of the stuff like translations, like how do you bring that in? And I know SIG CLI has already done work there, but there's a whole lot of other places that could come into. Where we just are just English only, and there's a lot of folks in other countries, and they're talking about wireframes and mocks and impact SIG UI, maybe some command line stuff that impacts SIG CLI. They're going across the board, and so it's just an effort to get those folks together. So I just wanted to kind of cross-pollinate that here. I don't know what that'll mean for us in the long term, but there it is. If anybody's interested or has questions about it, please feel free to jump in or ask. If you know people at your companies or organizations who might be interested in sticking their UX people on it, please send them that way.
Thanks, Matt.
And I guess the next one I can continue on with. It's the CNCF has started to add their own special interest groups. They're calling them CNCF SIGs to differentiate from the Kubernetes ones. And there's a lot of interest in app-related stuff. And they're calling it now app delivery, and it's going through the process. It looks like it'll be Michelle and Alexis who are leading that. There's a link to what they're working on. This has been in the running for a while. But you can go see on their mailing list the discussion that's happening around it. Essentially, this is gonna happen, but the details to it is not exactly clear. When they came up with the SIGs, they came up with what were the easy ones they could get going with, and something around apps was one of them that immediately came to the forefront and got a significant amount of discussion. the scope of these SIGs isn't to control any of the projects under the CNCF like Kubernetes or Helm or anything else in this space. Their output ends up being more informative to projects and the TOC, and they may produce some things like white papers and informational stuff to just kind of help the broader community learn what this space is and why. It does kind of cross over a lot of the stuff we've traditionally done over here, but we haven't been heavily into in a while. So anybody have any thoughts or interest or any of that?
And if you are interested in being involved in the SIG, then getting back on his mailing list would probably be the best approach. Okay, sounds like no comments as of now, so we can move on to the next topic here, which is the sidecar KEP, and it looks like we're waiting on approval for API design.
Yep, not much to add apart from that. Janet managed to have a look at the test plan last week, and we got that merged. So we're just waiting for the API to get merged, and then we're good to go, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah, it actually looks like Tim said the API. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it can move forward from the API folks. Really, we need probably somebody like Janet or Ken to come in and approve it. So I'll fire off an email to them following this meeting just to poke them to get them on this one.
Cool, thanks, Matt. And then waiting for Max unavailable for stateful set KEP review, Mayank.
Yeah, I think Janet has taken a look briefly, but what I really need is basically someone to comment on the approaches that I've highlighted, which one makes more sense, and like if somebody who has a deeper knowledge of the way a stateful set works, comment on the actual approaches, like if they have opinions about one versus other, pros and cons, or they think that I'm moving in the right direction and which one should I be choosing. I have highlighted like 3 or 4 approaches there. So I'm basically looking for direction there, which one makes more sense. And I think I heard that Ken is on leave, and I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know who else can help with this.
Yeah, that'd probably be Janet. And right before this meeting started, she messaged us saying she wasn't going to be able to make it today.
Yeah, it sounds like she's traveling for a bit, so I don't know when she'll be available to look at stuff.
So in general, does SIG Apps have other people who are approvers, or?
Yeah, I could take a look as well, but like after the PTO, I can't promise you it will be tomorrow.
Yeah, no worries. I just general. I mean, if it's blocked, it's blocked. I mean, if people want to take a look and have opinions, please feel free to take a look and see if it makes sense, so that I can make some progress. Yeah.
Yeah, I will take a look, and hopefully this week.
Sounds good, Thomas. Thanks.
Sorry about the delays.
Perfect. Thanks, Thomas. All right, I think that's all that we've gone through on the agenda. Is there any topics that anyone would like to bring up for open discussion?
Hi, is anyone going to speak or shall I?
Yeah, go ahead. Hi.
Yeah, my name is Imran, and I just started off with trying to get involved in the community. So I would like to get involved in any way possible with the SIG Apps community. So if there are any directions, pointers, please point it out to me so that I can uh, start contributing.
Awesome. Welcome.
Are there any code walkthrough videos or anything like that, sessions that has been done so that I can take a look? Or
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we were just discussing. We don't really have anything, at least not that I'm aware of right now, and that's something that we want to start doing very soon. So hopefully that'll be useful once we have that. A good way of kind of getting familiar with things, though, is with the contributor guide, which you can find here.
Yeah, I think there were already some talks at KubeCons about the controllers and stuff. Maciej would know for sure. I think there were some deep dives, but
I did something like that. Just looking for a link for writing kube controllers for everyone that I did last year in Copenhagen. This one. It generally explains the idea of controllers, what are the bits and points at how you could write your sample controller. Probably the easiest point that you can get familiar with what controllers are, how to write a controller, is the sample controller.
I just pasted a link to that one.
Yeah, okay, cool. So that and that video hopefully should get you at least busy for some time, or will at least point you to what you need to know more when you're interested in controllers. It talks about informers, it talks about caches and how to use them, and what is the main requirements for every controller within Kubernetes, and explains the high-level idea of controller. I hope you'll find that one useful. It's a good starting point for sure, and then or at least it points you to the directions that you might be further than interested in.
thanks. I have taken a look at the sample controller this week, so I'll continue along that lines and I'll watch the video. So hopefully that should put me in the right direction. Any issues that come up? They are labeled as SIG under SIG apps, right? For the Kubernetes issues.
Yeah, everything should be labeled with SIG apps that would be related.
Okay.
Although when it comes to issues, I would be very careful. And the thing is, the majority of the issues that are popping up that are assigned to SIG apps are very specific to either configuration or some application. So don't get overwhelmed by some of the issues, because they will be very detailed into what is the problem, or they will be touching a detailed area of any particular controller. So just it might be overwhelming, but don't freak out that much. There are easier issues. Just if you don't understand an issue, feel free to skip it and pick one another that you'll find that you'll feel more comfortable with working.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we have anything labeled as good first issue right now. I don't know if that just means we need to go through and triage and label them.
Okay, I'll start first with the sample controllers, and the videos probably that should at least point me in the right direction, and then tackle on the issues.
Sounds good. And welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Any other topics people would like to bring up? Okay, sounds like we can end half an hour early today. Thanks everyone for coming, and see you all next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.